Kadosh, Boker Or, Masechet Gittin Daf 14a1. So we just finished off by saying the fact that right now, like even though there was no real kinyan, the fact that you could push off the loan a little bit longer, so that's going to be enough in order to come into subjugate yourself to the new borrower, like to the new lender. So Elmaleh Huna, right? More better than we're going to ask the following question. What about the ones of the house of Bar El Yashiv? There's a family, Bar El Yashiv. The kafte v'shakli lalta, but they used to come and tie him up and take it immediately, right? Maybe this is what he was referring to do with the debt collectors. Again, we're not talking about debt collector, we're talking about somebody else, right? But technically, maybe there are certain people that they come and they, like they go automatically. They won't right away. So it says, are you going to tell me now they're not going to acquire it? If you're going to tell me yes, right? That yes, so then what? You gave your words to Shiurim. Meaning, if you're going to come and you're going to tell me one second, it all depends who the second guy is. If it's the second guy with like this, that they have this minhag of tying up the guy and telling him pay immediately, so then obviously they don't want to subjugate themselves, and that's one thing. But if you're going to tell me that for him yes and the other guy no, doesn't make sense, and you're putting your words to a shiur. You're putting your words that it all depends who's the second guy. So but rather Marzuta says, Hani tlat mile. These three things, okay. The rabbi said it's like the halacha without a reason. One of them is this thing, okay. One of them is this, yeah. The idach, and the other one is it says hakotev kol nechasav, right? Liishto. If somebody writes all his properties to his wife, lo asal apotropia. He didn't actually give it to her. He made her an apotropos for it. Apotropos is like a guardian for it, meaning he wasn't really be'emet giving it to her. He just gave it to her like now that she's in charge of it, but not that really be'emet it belongs to her. The idach, and the third one, if right now he got married his son, his eldest son, to a woman in a certain house, which means he was miyachel about house. The son came and he bought the house. He acquired the house as a present, even without any maaseh kinyan. Meaning the fact that he got his son married in this house, it's already his. The ida, right? So that was the third one. So three different halachot. Number one, right, that we just mentioned before, right, about the chov is going to be acquired to somebody else with mamad shloshtan. Number two, if a person writes all his properties to his wife, she only becomes a guardian, but it doesn't actually belong to her. Number three, if he gets his son married to a woman in a certain house, this is his eldest son, Dafka. So then, and he's designated for him this house, so this house requires to him, even though there was no maaseh kinyan done, right? Because this was now like this son's house. Okay? So Elmaleh Rav, the Rav Acha bar Dila, says Rav to Rav Acha bar Dila, right? Kaba de morika itli gibach. I've got a kav of karkum by you. Yavi leploni, right? You're going to give it to this person by pay, right? Kaminalach dilo adarme. But I'm telling it to you in front of him, right? In order that you shouldn't be choser because of the matana. Right? One more time. So Rav Acha bar Dila comes and he says in front of a third person, right? So Rav says to Rav Acha bar Dila in front of the third person, this kav that I have, right, that is going to be mufkad by you, you have to give it to the third person. Now I'm saying it in front of him, right, in order that I'm not going to retract. Meaning the fact that you see that he's saying that I'm saying it in front of him in order that I cannot retract means that the second that I said it, what happens? He acquires it. Because now I cannot retract. Usually a present I can retract. If I come and I say, you know what, I'm going to give you this as a present, but I don't actually give it to you, I can retract, right? I can retract, right? Why? Because I just told you I'm going to give you a present, but I can retract on a present. But if I do it with mamad shloshtan, which means, right? No, mamad shloshtan means that I don't have the money. Mordechai has the money, right? Look at all the millions. Yeah? Mordechai has all the money. And I'm telling to Mordechai, the money that I have by you, you have to give it to you, give it to Yitzchak. That's called mamad shloshtan. Because you have all three people, right? All three of the people are there. Nothing to do with me and you. And I come here, he came and he did this in order that he cannot retract on the present. Miklal. So you could actually infer, that if you wanted to retract, right? Matzi hadabe, what? He could actually retract? The second that he was zoche, that's it. Says the Gemara, this is what I'm going to say. The second that he says it, right? These things cannot retract. Right? Why? Because he said, since he's telling him to pass over this karkom to him, therefore he cannot retract. Rav already said this once. Rav says, Rav, I have this money in my hands, give it to this certain person in front of these three people. Kana, he's going to acquire it. So therefore, if you already said it, why does he have to say it again? Meaning, why are you saying the exact same halachot again? So answers the Gemara, if it was from there, I would have said that's only going to be a matana merubah. But if it's going to be a small one, I would have thought to say that you don't need it. Kamashmalan comes teach you, right, that he cannot retract because he said it in front of him. Which means that even by a matana muetet, lo chala kinyan he did it b'ma'amad shloshtan. Everyone understood? One more time. I would have thought to say, right, that when can I say that these things are only going to be, right, about Rav Huna in the name of Rav, right, is only going to be by matana merubah. But by matana muetet, you don't need it in front of him. Even without it in front of him, the saying it is already be considered a kinyan because it's such a small amount. Meaning, when do we need ma'amad shloshtan? When it's a huge amount. Look how many hundreds are here. Yeah, you see all the hundreds. It's a large amount. Yeah, there you need ma'amad shloshtan. But if it's such a small amount, imagine $5. You're going to tell me you need ma'amad shloshtan? You're making a ridicule out of me. You're making a joke out of me. Comes to teach you, yes. Even for that, you need ma'amad shloshtan. Okay? Hanau Ginai. There was another story with Ba'alei Ginot. These are people that have gardens, right? That they were selling their vegetables. They were making a cheshbon, right? How much money do they, how much do they make? How much do they lose? Loss, profits. So according to their cheshbon, one of them had 5 slain right by him. They went and said, go give it to this person, to the balakarka, to the owner of the field. And they said it in front of the owner of the field. He acquired it. Lesof, at the end, right? Afterwards, he went and he did the cheshbon and he had nothing left over. So he came from Nachman. Everyone understood the story. One more time. We're all here. We're doing a cheshbon. I give you this amount. You give me this amount. Okay. Now let's say, right? John Doe. I don't want to say John Paul. Yeah. So John Doe owes $5. So I come and I say, you know what, John Doe, instead of giving me the $5, John Doe give the $5 to Michel Becker. And Michel Becker is the owner of the field. Give it to him. Yeah, give it to him. So what happens? Afterwards, John Doe comes and he says, you know what? Something I don't something's not fishy. He does the cheshbon again, and he has nothing extra. So he's saying there's something wrong here. So he comes in front of Nachman. Elmaleh, he says, what am I going to do to you? Chada, one of them, Damar Vunu Rav says Rav, right? The what? That it was Mamad Shloshtan. The second was Mamad Shloshtan, right? Michel already acquired it, the money. Whether it was extra or not, Michel already acquired the $5, the 5 whatever it was, right? The 5 slain. The old, and furthermore, Hakanu minach, you were mitchayev lebalakarka bekinyan chalipin. You did chalipin. You know what chalipin is? When you come and you take the handkerchief and you come and you do that, right? We do chalipin. It's like a transfer of assets. So therefore, let's say I've got the cow in my house, right? And you're going to get the cow, right? You come, I give you the handkerchief. You come and you acquire that, and now by acquiring the handkerchief, now you take the cow. That means even though you didn't do anything with the cow, it's called chalipin. Right, chalipin is like the transfer of ownerships through that. So he comes and he says, so that you did a kinyan. Rav said to Rav Nachman, Atu haimi kama lo yahibna. Right? He says, what? Did this person say, I don't want to give you the money? He's just saying, I don't have the money. He's not saying, I don't want to give you the money. He's just saying, the money's not by me. Meaning, he's not going against saying, I don't want to give you the money. I would love to give you the money, but I don't have that money. That money, the extra, was not by me. So he told him in Ken or so, kinyan betautu, it's a mistake. The entire kinyan was a mistake. It goes back. Okay? And therefore he doesn't have to give any money. He doesn't have to pay anything. Itmar, it was stated, imagine somebody comes and he tells a shaliach, give this money to this person that he's obligated to pay back. So Amar Rav says, he's obligated to pay it back. What does that mean? Not only pay it back, if something happens to it, he has to pay back. So imagine I give right now money to John Doe, and John Doe has to give the money to David. And then what happens is it gets stolen from John Doe. John Doe has to pay the money. Okay, he's chayav b'achriyut. The im ba lachzor, if he comes to retract, right, and he wants to give him back the money, right? So he says, Eno chozer, it cannot retract. Which Shmuel Amar, and Shmuel says, Mitoch shechayav b'achriyuto, from the fact that he's obligated in achrayut until it gets to the hand, in balachzor, if he wants to retract, he could retract. Meaning like this, if John Doe in the middle all of a sudden says, you know what, I don't want to give back the money, I don't want to be a shaliach. He comes back and he wants to give me back the money. So according to the first one, the money cannot retract. According to Shmuel, the fact that he's obligated to pay me back until the end, he's allowed to come and retract. So lema ba kami page, what do we just say? There's a machlok between them. More savar olech kizachi dami. That the first one number says that when I come and I say, give this money to Ploni, it's as if that he's saying zacheh for him. And therefore, since he's zocheh for him, he cannot retract. Umor savar, and that was the first shita. And the second shita, which is Shmuel, right? Shmuel holds, yeah, he comes and he wants to hold. Holech is lav kizacheh dami. It's not like zacheh dami. So says the Gemara, and therefore he cannot retract. So he comes, sorry, therefore he's allowed to retract, sorry, okay? So says the Gemara, no. Techulia alma, according to everybody, holech kizacheh dami. If you say holech, it's like zacheh dami. Again, here what we're dealing with, more savar lo omrina migu, more savar migu. Machlok between Rav and Shmuel is, do you say migu or not? Which means, Rav comes and he says, we don't say amigu. We don't say that since he's obligated to pay back, so therefore he could retract. And according to Shmuel, he says, no, we do say amigu. Tana comes to the Rav, where we have a praita, according to Rav, הולך מנה לפלוני שאני חייב לו, תן מנה לפלוני שאני חייב לו, הולך מנה לפלוני פיקדון שיש לי בידי, תן מנה לפלוני פיקדון שיש לו בידי, חייב באחריותו, you're obligated to pay it back if something happens to him, like whatever it is. אם בא לחזור, and if he wants to retract, אין חוזר, he cannot retract on the shlichut, on the messenger. פיקדון, says the Gemara, פיקדון. Elmaleh, you could just say, he says, 1 second, but picadon, he could always say, I don't want my picadon to be in somebody else's hand. So what do you mean that he doesn't want it to be in his hands? So Amar Bizera says, Bizera, keshuchza kafran. No, the nifkad is a person that he's like a kafran. He rejects. He renounces that, I don't know what you're talking about. So in such a case, for sure, the bala picadon, he prefers that it should be in the hands of the shaliach, right? And that's why he doesn't want it to be in the hands of the one that he gave it to, okay, right? Because basically you prefer it. Imagine right now you give it to somebody and you already know that this guy's a chazakah, that he just says all of a sudden, I don't have it. You prefer that it's going to be in somebody else's hands. Rav Sheshat, he had glimot that he sold on guarantees, like on credits, and it came the time to pay. He told him, when you're coming, bring it to me. Azali came, he gave it to him. He says, I want to buy it from you with a chalipin. Right? Amalo, he says, yes. He didn't do the kinyan. When he came in front of him, he said, Shapir, that's good. That you didn't make yourself. Right? That the loveh is meshubat to the malveh. Now he's considered like an eved. So therefore, even if you wanted to do a kinyan, you would have been obligated now, right, to be chayav b'achrayut on the money. Yeah, this is Rabbi Zera. Yeah, so he says lishna charina. Another explanation. Shapira vata, you did good. Evelove lish malveh. So since the chayvim nechshavim kelovim, so therefore they're meshubadim to bring me the money. They're going to be chayav in achrayutam. Rabbi Achai, Rabbi Yoshia, v'lei ispeka the kaspa nerda. He had a kli of kesef, right, by this person nerda. Yudala demubet 14b. Amar lehu, he told him that Rabbi Dostabar, Rabbi Yanai, Rabbi Yosef bar Kefar, datitu, when you're coming back, bring it back to me. Azul yaveneale, go, he went and he brought it back. Amrile, they told him, we'll make a kinyan. Amrile, he said, no. Amar lehu, he says, alan, so give it back to us. Rabbi Dostabar, Rabbi Yanai, Amar lehu, he said, yes. Okay, I'm going to give it back to you. Rabbi Yosef bar Kefar, Amar lehu, no. He says, no. They started causing him problems. Amrule, they told him, what are we going to do now? Amalo, he said, Tavremu lei, give him a coat, kiatu lekame, right? When they came in front of the rabbis, came in front of Rabbi Achai, Rabbi Yoshia, Amale, he told them, Chazimor, lo misay. He says, 1 second, not only is Rabbi Desai didn't help us, but he actually said, give them more makot. Meaning, not only did he not help us, he actually made it worse for it. Sometimes it happens, by the way. Sometimes you come and you ask somebody for help, and they make things worse, right? And you're like, I didn't tell you to make things worse. I told you to make things better. So Elmaleh, he comes and he says, why did you do that? Elmaleh, he says, Adam, henama. They're people very strong. Right? And they're very strong people. And they speak with a strong voice. And they have very bad names, like names of, that you're afraid of. Arda, Arta, Pili Bereish. They say to tie him up, they tie them up. If they say to kill, they kill immediately. Right? If right now they would have killed Dostai, so who would have given to Yanai them thing? Abba Bar Kamoti? What? The father to a son like me? Elmaleh says, and what? He says there are people that are cut over the malchut. They're close to the government. Elmaleh said yes. They have horses and mules that are running in front of them anywhere where they go. Elmaleh said yes. Elmaleh said okay, fine. So then you did properly. Meaning, the second that he understood that these people were powerful people, he says, okay, fine. So now I understand why you did that. And you said that you like hit him to take it back, whatever it is. Okay, I understand you. Next. Imagine right now I come and I tell you, you know what, give this money to this person. I come and I tell David, go give money to John Paul. And then what happened? He goes to give it to him and he couldn't find John Paul. Yeah? So David has to give it back to me. Or they give it back to the people, right, that were sent. Because let's say now, right, John Doe, right, passed away. So if John Doe passed away, they have to give it to the inheritors of John Doe. Other people say, no, you have to give it back to the original person that sent you. Okay, so there's a machloket. So why don't we just say there's a machloket between them? The first one number says that olech is like kezachi, that kilu that he already inherits it, that he already gets it. And the second one says that he doesn't get it. Which one? Yes, that means the shaliach now is like, even though I come and I tell the shaliach, holech, take it, it's kilu, you're telling him that he's going to inherit it for him. He's not inherit, there's a better word. Acquire it for him. Okay? So Amar Rabbi Abba Bar Mimal, says Rabbi Abba Bar Mimal, according to everybody, it's not considered zachi dam. It's not a question. It all depends who was the person sending it. Was the person that was bari or was a shchiv mera? If it's going to be a shchiv mera, right? So we said already the halacha is a kilu that it's already given over. So when you say olech, it's kilu, it's written zacheh. But if it's going to be a bari, you don't say that. Razvid Amar, Razvid comes and he says an extra explanation. We're really talking about a shchiv mera. Here the person was alive during the time of the matamaot. They had to let him mekabel, but here he wasn't alive during the time of matamaot, as we learned before, if you remember. That if he's alive during the time of matamaot, so therefore it's like kazachi, and therefore he's going to be zocheh le'adam, right? Davar sheba le'olam, because the person's alive. But if Papa comes and he says, "Hava abibadi," really problem with a person that's healthy. They had the meat kabel b'chayanot, and one of them talking about that the person died in the lifetime of the person that's giving it. They had the meat and kabel. Here the person that's giving it died during the lifetime of Mekabel, which means who died first? The one that's giving it or the one that's receiving it? So Lema Holech Kezachi Tanaihi, why don't we just say that the one that the mandama that says Holech Kezachi, Samachlok Tanaim. The Tanya was going to the Raita, Holech Maneleponi Valach Biksho, Velo Mitzod, and finally Yaxur Mishaleach, Metam Shaleach, and Mitam Yaakov Amru, Yaxur Sham Shaleach, give it back. Yeshomni Yoshemi Shinishtal Chulo. Some people say no to the Yoshim, the one that sent him. So therefore, you see from here, Rabbi Yoda Nasi Omer Mishum Rabbi Yaakov. שאמר משום רבי מאיר, מצווה לקיים דברי האמת. זה מצווה לקיים דברי האמת. והחכמים אומרים יחלוקו, they divide between them. וכאן אמרו in Bavel, they say, right, מה שירצה השליח יעשה. Whatever the shliach wants, he could do. Look how many different shitot you have. The first shita was, you give it to the inheritors of the one that's receiving it. The second one was, the inheritors of the one that's give it over. The third one is, right, is that you give it back to the person that gave it over. The other one is, you have to give it over. The fourth one is yachloku, you divide it. Another one is that whatever the shliach wants. Amar Rabbi Shimon and Nasi said there was a maaseh that happened to him. They said, give it back to the one that's sending it. The one that says olech is not like zachi, right? And another one Shita says yes. Rabbi Natan, right? But Rabbi Yaakov Nami. It's not like that you're acquiring it. The afal gav the meat, and even though the guy died, normally we do not say nitzah lekayim divrei hamet. And some people say no, holech kezachi. Rabbi Yehuda Nasi Omer Mishum Yaakov, Shamar Mishum Rabbi Meir, holech lav kezachi. It's not like zachi. Mi hu heicha demi. But if the person passes away, amninam, we're going to say nitzah lekayim divrei hamet. There's a mitzvah lekayim divrei hamet. Chachamim say yachloku. What does it mean yachloku? You divide it. Because we don't know if holech kezachi or if it's a mitzvah lekayim divrei hamet. And since we don't know what's halacha, so that's why we're going to come and we're going to actually divide it between them. Okay? Next halacha. The Kanamru over here we said Shudadif. Shudadif is according to the Shaliach. Right? That means whichever one is the Shaliach, meaning instead of stam dividing it, whatever the Shaliach sees fit. Okay? Rabbi Shimon Anasi and Rabbi Shimon Anasi Masechet Lishminan. He's coming to teach us a story. Right? So says the Gemara, no, we're not going to say that. By the way, in the footnote on the bottom, you have all the different shitot. All the different shitot, right? And who's dying, not dying, in all those cases. Okay? So he says, lo, really no. Bebari, we're really talking about a person that's healthy. That nobody argues, right? That what? That if the mekabel, the one that's receiving the money, dies, that we say, holech is lav kezachi. What are we dealing with? B'shchib mira. What proved that Rabbi Lazar Rabbanan come mipalgeden. B'chlot dealing with Lazar Rabbanan. The Tanam is we learned in the Mishnah. Hamchalek nechasav al piv. Somebody that commands his children to come and to give over the properties, right, after death. Doesn't matter whether he's healthy or he's already on his deathbed. Right, any properties that they have a lien on it, yeah. So he says, like karkaot and batim, they're going to be acquired whether it's with money, a document, or the chazakah. But any properties which are movable objects, which do not have a lien on it, because you can't put a lien on a movable object, right? Because nobody knows about it. So you'll imagine you can put a lien on it. So any knilam mishicha, you could only acquire with mishicha, with moving it. Right? When you move it, that's how you acquire it. Everything is going to be acquired by saying it. Amrulo, they told him, there was a story of Iman ben Rochel. That was the father's name. Iman ben Rochel. Shaya chole. Right? Shayta chola. Sorry, that she was chola. The Amran, she said, Tinaten kebinati. Right? So she was talking about the sichat tachshit sheli. She was talking about a certain type of an adornment. Lebiti, to my daughter. And it's worth 1,200 zuz. And then Meta, she died. They actually they fulfilled their words. Amar lahem, he says, Bene Rochel, right? Tikberem imam, which means they were Rishaim. So you can't bring a raya from the Rishaim. Meaning we don't know the exact, the story, everything that's going on. So therefore, says, no, we just leave it like that. Okay? Fine, we continue with Hashem tomorrow.